Got a listener question today. This one's probably not going to turn out the way you think. That's part of the fun. What would be some classifier drills for class that someone could do to ensure they are optimally prepared for one of your classes? I would love to have a few drills with qualifier speeds that would confirm I am ready to take one of your classes with a bit of confidence that I've prepared well for the class. Specifically, I'd be interested in the transition from basic pistol fundamentals to practical shooting fundamentals. So, I mean, I'll make some assumptions. I think he's saying he's kind of trying to graduate from just basic kind of gun safety to a fundamentals class like I would teach, or I suppose, like that's not trademarked by me. A lot of different, instructors teach the same type of stuff. So, a bunch of points to talk about. First, well, I'll give you what I think should be required, or what I would like to have required of people before they take a class with me, or I guess I can't speak for other trainers, but I'll give you my 2 cents. You should be able to handle your gun, so load, unload, if you get something for a reasonable malfunction, handle all that stuff without any assistance whatsoever, and be able to do it safely. Obviously, you could have a catastrophic failure or some kind of malfunction where you get a bullet stuck in the barrel, the case, like the rim of the case gets ripped off, you have something stuck in the barrel or magazine. Those kind of stuff happens where even I'm not going to fix it online. Maybe it has to go to a gunsmith or it needs some tools or whatever. But aside from that, just as far as loading, unloading, holstering, drawing, all that stuff you need to be able to do safely and kind of without thinking about it, somewhat. I'm not saying be careless, but for example, you should be familiar enough that, let's say if I want to load this gun, some of the stuff happens without me taking a ton of conscious effort. For example, say I start with this, I'm like, oh, finger comes out of the trigger guard, right? Magazine next. Yep. Then, okay, then pull the slide back. Oh no, I gotta let it, oh, nope, didn't go forward. All right, now it's forward. Let's see, finger away from the trigger. Okay, I think that's everything. I think I'll put it back in the holster now. So that's a little bit of an exaggeration, but you should be able to just draw your pistol if you need to check it. If you're gonna load it, your finger's already out of the trigger guard, mag in, rack it. You could press check if you want. Finger it's just the habit. My finger doesn't touch the trigger. Back in the holster. Or if you get a malfunction, you might have to look at it. Like, oh, this is weird. This gun doesn't normally jam. Okay, we're back in service. Whatever. That kind of uneventful stuff is super important. And once in a while, I'll get somebody in class that's not really comfortable with those things. And I'm not saying it's not coachable if they have to leave the class or anything like that. But here's the deal. If you have to think about some stuff that's, I'll call more routine, it puts you in a spot that's tougher to learn what's going on because you only have 100% bandwidth. If I have to spend 50% of that on just gun safety, making sure I remember to load my magazines, keeping the gun in the holster, reholstering it, drawing, if that kind of stuff takes up a lot of my bandwidth or my capacity, it's tough to absorb what's going on in the class, and people end up getting kind of overwhelmed. For an example, if you were just in let's say you were a first-time gun buyer, and I just had showed you kind of how to load, unload the gun, I mean roughly, and you've done it like once or twice, and then I put you right in a USPSA stage. It's kind of the equivalent. It's just too much. I'm asking you to do a bunch of stuff that I've never trained you for. So anyway, just being able to operate the gun safely is the first big ask that I think people should have for classes. The other thing is you need to be comfortable moving around, kind of uprange, downrange, laterally, whatever, just while keeping your finger off the trigger and the gun pointed safely downrange. Don't expect you to be an expert at it. You just need to be safe and competent at it. Again, the same types of examples. Let's say if I'm going to reload the gun and I find myself in the trigger finger, or my finger's on the trigger a lot, and then I want to turn, like, oh, no, don't do that. No, my gun has to stay pointed this way while I look that way or do something. Or if I want to like clear something and I'm doing kind of one of these numbers where that I'm pointing at the gun next to people on the line, that stuff's a big problem, like a big time problem. And I'm not going to yell at people, but there'll be just a conversation, just the two of us. Or sometimes people will forget to use their thumb safety on 2011 style pistols. And I'm not going to embarrass people or call people out, but there'll be a one-on-one conversation where it's, hey, I don't care. how long it takes you to holster. Please take your time. Thumb safety has to be applied before the gun goes back in the holsters and when the pistol's still pointing away from you. No exceptions. You've got to pay attention to this. Something like that. So just the safety and gun handling is all I think you need to be able to do. From a shooting performance side, if you can hit a dinner plate at about 15 yards, I think that puts you in a good spot to do about all the shooting you need to do. And I don't mean doing rapid fire pairs or bill drill, just kind of a medium paced shooting, whatever that means to you. It's like one Mississippi, 2 Mississippi, 3 Mississippi. Being able to kind of have a dinner plate sized target hit, that'll put you in a good spot. Obviously, if you go faster or farther, whatever. But that kind of gives you a good place to be. And the goal of taking a class is to get better at shooting. If you are already a rock star, super good, accomplished, had already won stuff, there'd be less of a need for you to take the class. I'm not saying, I would still crush you. I'd find something to tease you about or something to work on. But I don't expect people to be perfect before they take a class. Because in my opinion, the purpose of taking a class is to reveal to you kind of the issues you have, the habits that you wish you could change, showing you a way to change the habits. And then during the class, I'm not going to lie, you're probably not going to get a lot better. That's another interesting part. Is during the class, most people, let's say you fire 1,200, 1,500 rounds in 2 days, you probably won't get a ton better. Maybe in the moment, a little bit. But what's really happening is it's showing you how to practice and exposing, again, habits that you wish you didn't have. I'll give you a couple examples. Draw the pistol, and you're just so used to 100 and 100. Hell yeah, brother. As hard as I can grip the gun. So the feedback is you need to relax your firing hand because a lot of people get trigger freeze or they start pushing on the gun really hard. So people aren't dumb. Most people aren't dumb. Intellectually, I could understand you want me to relax my firing hand. I get it. But then drawing the pistol and doing reps over and over again, it's going to take some sustained practice to change that habit. I don't expect you to change it in an hour, 2 hours, or even 2 days. Hopefully by the end of it, it annoys you to the fact that you'll be, every time you do that, you're like, son of a, I did that thing again. I don't mean to do that. I'm going to keep working on it, chipping it away. And I like when people are just a little bit irritated because that goes a long way towards fixing the issue or changing the behavior. But in the moment, you'll just be along for the ride as you're exposed to a bunch of different areas about your shooting that you want to make changes to. So again, I'm not saying you just, like I show you once and you make the change, and I don't have a standard where you need to be able to do a bill drill in 2 seconds or something. That's not the case at all. Because if anything, once you're kind of to the point that I just mentioned where you're like safe and competent, I could make the argument that's a better place to take a class than someone who is A class that's already pretty good at shooting but probably has some changes to make. Just because sometimes it's easier to catch those things off the bat, or you get to the point where you don't really have any bad habits. Well, you don't have any habits, good or bad. You don't have much of anything, just a little bit of competency and safety. That I can make the argument that's almost a better place to start for some people, just because then you have less habits to undo. But regardless of how much you've been shooting, there'll be something you want to change. I can assure you that. So anyway, I think I answered most of his question. Like I said, you're just looking to be competent. So the person asking this, or I get a lot of messages with this similar kind of question. As far as ready to take one of the classes with a bit of confidence, prepared well for the class. The other part is how much you shoot to train and prepare for the class. When you take a class, I think, well, for me, I would just want to have you shoot maybe a week before or something, or a few days before. Not even heavy training sessions. Just be competent. Feel like you're up to your regular skill level. For example, if you hadn't shot a gun for 2 months until the first morning of class, that's it's a little bit of a rough place to be in. And on the flip side, if you've been shooting 500 rounds every single day before the class, it's almost too much because your hands are going to get sore, you're going to get tired, you're going to get changes, or you're going to get suggestions for changes you want to make to your shooting anyway. So it's not like you being all trained up in final form is really going to get you where you want to go anyway. So, like I said, you just want to be in a place where you're competent and safe, finger control or finger trigger, muzzle discipline, applying your thumb safety, all that kind of stuff happens without thinking. You can holster, unholster, move around safely. That puts you in a spot to train. Otherwise, there's not a specific drill, patch, standard, gizmo, fidget spinner that you need to have or accomplish, or a standard test. Because, like I said, when you get in class, your habits are going to be revealed to you, and rest assured, there will be something that you won't like about yourself related to shooting that you will discover that you'll want to make a change. So to me, the whole point of a class is understanding what changes you want to make, and then how to practice, how to implement those changes. Because, I mean, I'm not much of a salesman, but or motivational speaker. You're not going to be a new shooter in 2 days. Instead, if you're paying attention, you'll just walk away with how to practice and how to make your shooting better, or how to set up some drills to assess your performance. So hopefully that answers the question. If you have any other questions, lately I've been getting a lot of kind of teaching type of questions if they're ready to teach or correcting people. So hopefully this is helpful. But if you have questions for me, drop it below in the comments. I'm happy to go through those and answer them. If it's an easier question just with a sentence or two answer, I'll just answer it there. If not, if it's a longer question, I'll just record a video to talk about it. So appreciate you watching. Like, share, subscribe, and all that crap. Have a good day.